Warning, this content is for entertainment and educational purposes only. This video is brought to you by First Detachment Nutrition. Battle tested, expert formulated. Use discount code AB10 at checkout for 10% off. What's up, Gym Bros? It's Big Paul and Gym Gals. I guess we have Erin, Riley, Hawkins, IFBB Pro with us today. So we figured we would get a woman in the mix too. So it's not just us dudes talking about dude stuff. We can talk about lady bodybuilding stuff too. So how are you, Erin?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. What an honor.
We're gonna have to send out a search party for Dr. Todd. I don't know where he's at. Oh, Kolton, you're muted, man.
It's either the FBI or the CIA this time. I don't know which one.
It's the tinfoil on these windows,
slipped.
man.
It slipped.
Did you see his video the other day on sleep hygiene? I mean, I have pretty much everything except for the tinfoil. I went with the plantation shutters instead.
Yep.
I don't know that the tinfoil is conducive to getting laid or not. Probably not. So
I can't imagine.
He looks like the Unabomber with the tinfoil on the windows.
Oh God.
So what's up, guys? What's new?
Well, it's busy show season. You know, got competitors like every weekend from now on till like I don't even want to think about when, but
dude, I got people messaging me right now. I literally got a guy just got off stage right now.
Yeah, I got a guy named Noah. He's right in front of me. He just got off stage. So
I don't understand. I don't understand the judging these days half the time.
It pisses me off, dude. And it's like a lot of dudes will come in really fucking shredded. Like Noah is very shredded. And it's just like guys will come in bigger, but like literally not conditioned. Like you have abs, cool, but you don't have striations, you don't have glutes, you don't have hamstrings. It's like, what is this? And they're placing above them. And it's like, so I thought this was like conditioning or an all over symmetrical game, but now it's more about size. I get it's bodybuilding, but what's also frustrating is a lot of these amateur bros don't know how to fucking pose. And it's like, you get in a class full of dudes who are novices and they go into open. It's like the posing is just so horrible. So it's like, how do you even place these people? Like, I don't know. It's tough.
Well, the show we were at last weekend, like 2/3 of the people couldn't pose.
Yeah. It's bad. Like it is really bad. And you got like people trying to do rear doubles. And they're like, you know, they're squeezing their whole back in half, and it's people losing balance stuff.
There's Todd. He removed the tinfoil from the windows.
No, I didn't.
No, what's up, Todd?
No, I didn't.
Why would I remove the tinfoil? Fuck that shit. Speaking of government reading your mind, did you see what happened with the Fox News thing?
Which one?
A producer put "wannabe dictator" as like the tagline under Biden, and so now people are talking about how Fox News has to lose this broadcasting license.
Oh God,
because that's not dictatorial.
Oh God.
We were just talking about crappy posing and crappy judging at bodybuilding shows, man. It's I just don't understand it. Like my guy was sending me pictures from his show, and I'm looking. Of course, it's hard to tell from pictures, but I'm like, he was in the best condition of everybody up there, and I'm like, you know, and they don't have him in the. I don't know. I have no idea. What else can you do other than getting somebody in shape and have them ready to pose?
Noah just walked out, but he's fucking shredded, man, and it's really disappointing because it's like you can't. I'm like, you got to pose from 6 months out. You got to pose. We got to get posing practice in. You got to get like someone in person to help you pose because your posing is not there. You know, he's the kind of guy that would send me mandatories for his check-in, but only 3 mandatories out of all the poses. And it's just so frustrating because you create this beautiful package, but it's like you have a Ferrari's internals, like a drivetrain, engine, steering components, all that, but it's on a Toyota Corolla box frame. So you have this Toyota Corolla with Ferrari parts inside, but you can't. No one's going to care because it's like it looks like a Toyota Corolla. But if you have a Ferrari, you can have Toyota Corolla parts inside, but everyone's like, hey, there's a Ferrari. And it's like people don't know how to pose. It's like that's exactly what it is.
At the state level, they're all so bad. I don't even think it matters.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can pose, you stand out from the crowd. That is for sure.
And you can be a little smaller. You can be a little bit less advantaged. And if you're posing as confident, stable, and steady, it's like, boom, you're getting points. You know,
Erin, your posing, what I've seen is always good. What I mean, are you working year round on posing?
I typically do, but that's just because like you're in destination, and there's like everyone's posing in destination Dallas. It's like, you know, there's Leland there he's a classic physique pro. He's always posing, and if you're in the posing room and someone's posing, and they're like an IFBB pro, they'll be like, hey, do this pose, and then they'll like walk you through it, and you know, you kind of always get some practice there, which is nice. But it's like kind of like,
I'll be honest, I don't want to pose when I'm fat.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? It's like you see yourself in the mirror and you're like, fuck.
That's why you see me putting training videos up, not posing videos. Erin, when do you practice posing year round?
I do. I have to say real quick, I love that everybody's eating at the same time. So much shoveling food. I just drank a shake, so I'm behind. I'm like, I should be having a bowl of food right now.
I'm going to be doing a lot of crunching. I apologize in advance. It's my high carb day.
I love watching everybody like over here. Yeah, I hired last year. I had Rachel Daniels.
Rachel's great.
Good.
And then I had Lisa Kiesling, the classical
She's good
queen.
too.
Yeah, those are my coaches. So get with on them, you know, Zoom. I actually went to Texas to see Rachel in person last year. So I went to her apartment. She helped me pose in her apartment.
That's badass.
Yeah, Rachel's cool.
I'm about 11 weeks out right now, so
That's awesome.
heavy.
What show are you doing?
I'm doing the show I did last year, and I took third. The Pittsburgh Masters Pro.
So the Masters Pro, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you got your pro card last year, right?
Yes. I got it on Friday, and I did my pro debut on Sunday.
Oh, so you competed? You did the pro debut right afterward. I've heard people say they do that. That I would be done. I'd be at the steakhouse. I wouldn't be getting ready
There was a cheeseburger that night after I got my pro card, but then I asked my coach, and he's like, "Just stay there. You're there. Might as well stay." And I took third.
Shelby did your prep, right?
Yeah, Shelby.
Yeah, you were ripped last year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I talk about conditioning. That's what I see. You know, like you're backstage and everybody's really nice and cool. Especially the ladies are usually very cool. But standing back there, I'm kind of like I was super conditioned, and that's what you're right. You guys are all right. That's what's lacking, right? Like I don't do the conditioning piece all the way home. I feel like
conditioning and posing; those seem to be the two things I see that are missing from most people.
Yeah, hands down. It's tricky too because a lot of these guys are too small, or even gals, like bikini gals, especially when it's like their first show. It's like you can't really get them too conditioned because they don't have anything there underneath at all, and so it's like this weird balance between. Yeah,
I was going to ask you about that. Like my guys that don't have a lot of muscle, I try not. I've gotten to where I don't push the conditioning as much because they. I don't want them to shrivel up and look like nothing when they get on stage. Exactly. That's the issue. That's the line you got to walk, and they end up looking like a string bean.
Right. Yeah, I try not to push it. Like if it's like the difference between shredded glutes and hamstrings, or like you know being completely skinny, I'm gonna choose like, all right, we're gonna eat a little bit more and forget about the glutes right now. You know.
Yeah, I don't know. I would err on the side of Colin. I can really hear you crunching, man.
I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry, y'all.
Just mute yourself if you're going to crunch. Yeah, I err on the side of like the skinny guys of keeping them a little more full rather than trying to get them absolutely shredded.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. What about? Erin, what do you typically find yourself? Because one of the things I struggle with is especially like the bigger female classes, physique, bodybuilding, whatever, is getting those lower glutes to come in for relatively newer competitors, like 2-3 years into this. What do you think is like the best tactic there? Because you're pretty shredded, like Paul said.
Yeah, well, that's my weak spot too, because I'm older. I feel like gravity's tugging on your ass. You know, for almost 50 years, it's like great. So that's my section. But I had knee surgery in November, so I only could do legs starting in February. I've been pounding my upper body, just trying to get my back bigger, which I think I've succeeded. But the strategy is like, oh my God, I just try to kill my legs now. Just trying to constantly. But I listen to you guys all the time, and I was listening last weekend, and the women's stuff is so much. It's hard in its own way because this
was you last year, right? Yeah.
You got bigger arms than me.
That's last year.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, you definitely
that's the hotel in Pittsburgh, so that's probably me checking in before. There we are.
Oh.
But like right now, like I listen to everybody talk about, have you seen the bitching going on in the comments of like physique, women's physique versus women's bodybuilding? It's like the line is getting blurred. I mean, I admire all these ladies, but I don't know. I kept placing, second, third, fourth in physique. And, last year I did 3 shows last year. And after I placed fourth or second, I placed second, then I placed fourth. And after that happened, like the second time, Shelby's like, fuck it, we're just going to put you in bodybuilding. And then I won. So I don't know. I see them, the physique girls, they're big and they look great. But you're right. It's like people are right. It's like, where's the line?
Yeah.
Bodybuilding and physique, it's getting, I think, more and more blurred. Because at the national level, I felt like I was more conditioned than the girls that beat me. I did Universe last year and I took fourth. Masters, it was 40 plus, whatever. And I feel like I was really, really conditioned more so, even in the legs, you have to have the front definitions in the legs. And I had that, and not all the other girls did. I think they were looking for softer girls that day.
Right. And then you have people like Sarah who have I've never seen a female so shredded.
I know.
And she's conquering physique. It's hard. It's like, where's the line?
Yeah. I mean, that's a topic that could go on for hours, but
yeah,
that's what I deal with all the time. So I got my pro card in bodybuilding, so I guess I'm just going to stick with that because I feel like
the real deal. Holy
you guys saying that last weekend, whenever you got your stream, stay in your stream.
Yeah, you are an actual IFBB pro because you got your pro card in bodybuilding.
Yeah. No, I was listening to you last week and I was like, ooh, I think I qualify. I think I'm okay.
Apparently that was, I didn't even realize until I listened to it later what a dick I was being that day. But
no, but I agree with you.
And then Ian went on a rampage the whole week. I was like, I think Ian watched that episode. I was like,
yeah. Ian and Fawad were talking about it on their podcast. It was hilarious. Ian was talking about how the women's classes go first, and he was like listing it off. Like women's bikini, men's physique, and then before the bodybuilding shows, it was terrible. They were all laughing, and then they asked, was Big Mike Van Wyck what he thought about men's physique, and he's like, I don't.
Yeah,
I feel bad though because I do like men's physique, and I have several clients that compete in men's physique. It's I don't want to go down that path again, but I there's some people that it's a better fit for different frames.
Todd would say otherwise.
I had a client last year. He's like, "Can I just do physique?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "Why not?" I'm like, "Because you are a U.S. soldier. You're in the army. You're not doing physique. You have legs and you're a soldier. You're doing at least classic, if not classic and bodybuilding." He's like, "Okay."
Yeah, I had a couple after Todd said that. I had a couple people reach out to me and said they wanted to switch to bodybuilding.
That's funny.
Do you guys ever watch Jay Cutler's stuff at all?
Sometimes his podcast.
Yeah, he had his jaywalking episode. I subscribed to his newsletter, and I thought this was something he'd talked about. He said he never ate vegetables when he was a pro, and in his newsletter, and then like people were like freaking out that he said he never ate vegetables, and he was talking about it on his jaywalking episode, and he's like, if you're eating enough food to be 300 pounds, there's no way you can fit vegetables in there too.
Plus the amount of incidental fiber in all that rice and potatoes is probably going to hit your 28 grams per day anyway.
Yeah. If I recall, he's a big potato guy, so like you're getting plenty of fiber from potatoes. I think he ate lots of white potatoes, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he said he did potatoes and pasta. He would like alternate between potatoes and pasta, but he said he never ate vegetables, and then he was also going on and talking about how most people never they get stuck on the in between, where they don't eat enough to get big, and then they never get shredded, they never get big, they just kind of get stuck in that in between.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. Like, I feel uncomfortably overweight, even though I'm not. And it's like, I know I could eat more, but I also don't want to, it's just so uncomfortable. I don't know. It's like a weird thing where I can get shredded. It's no problem, but it's hard to push up past a certain point once you're eating so much.
Justin has me at my limit of food. He pushed my food back up again this week, and I couldn't finish all my meals, man. I just literally physically could not eat anymore. I'm sitting here right now.
It's fucking tricky too, because I missed one day, and it's like, if I have a meal out, I'll lose weight because it's not as much food volume as typical.
Where I'm at right now, my high days are 1,000 grams of carbs, 1,200, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And then my medium days are 600 grams of carbs, and my low days are 360.
How do you function on dude? 1,000 would put me to sleep.
I can't do 3 days. That's too confusing for me. I've got on days and off days, and that's about as much sophistication as I'm able to manage. I guess I could theoretically treat legs different, especially since I started putting my arms on leg day. So now there's an emotional reason to actually go. But I did a deep dive this week, and I read through Kikel's book on insulin before. Well, I went through and I read through his Somato Bible, the GH book, and I went through the L-carnitine book. So the L-carnitine book is 22 pages. The GH book is 80 pages. And the insulin book's 40 pages. And I swear, this kid seems smart, but he organizes shit so vastly differently than I would do it. I would literally write his book from back to front. He starts with, this is what growth hormone is, and this is what growth hormone does. And he doesn't even get there. He goes, this is the things in your body that will be important later. All right. And it's this bunch of really complex biochemistry and physiology without pictures. And then it'll be this is what GH is. And he's discussing the amino acid sequence and how many kilodaltons the strand is. And then it's this is what GH does in your body. And it's a bunch of endogenous GH shit. None of this fucking shit's relevant at all. Then it's this is the benefits of using exogenous GH. And then this is how you would use it. And the whole meat of the book is one page. It's a chart that tells you how to use it. It's in shorthand, and it doesn't really reference what page the data was on in the other 79 pages of the book. To me, I would do it the opposite way. It's summary would be first. It's if you don't give a fuck about learning, you just want results, do this, blah, blah, blah. And it's and then I'll have notes see page 22, see page 44, see page 66. It's telling them where to go in the book to see the rationalization for this stuff. So, for example, he basically is saying that because our bodies utilize GH when we're sleeping better than any other time of day, if you're trying to grow, just take all your GH before bed. All right, which is contradictory to what J3U talks about. And I've read the actual studies that J3U references in that systemic IGF-1 is an feedback inhibitor on localized IGF-1. And localized IGF-1 is what actually grows muscle. And that localized IGF-1 can be stimulated with as little as 7.5 nanograms. Now, 7.5 nanograms is about the dose generated from 2 units of GH in the morning, whereas if you took 2 units of GH at night, it's about 13. So that doesn't necessarily mean 2 units is the maximum dose at any given time, just that 2 units is a sufficient dose at any given time. And the refractory period for localized IGF-1 expression is 6 hours. Ipso facto, the minimum you should be using GH is 2 units every 6 hours.
Yeah.
Now,
Cool.
It also sounds like it's the maximum, but it isn't necessarily the maximum. They haven't tested it. Now, both of them had this chart I found on myself in 2017, which shows once you do all the math, and it's a lot of math, the maximum IGF-1 systemic generated on an average individual is 30 units GH per day. So that means if you wanted to grow with systemic IGF-1, generating 30 units amount of GH would be appropriate. But that would mean most likely you would take it at night. So we're circling back to the point, and people are like, what the fuck is this idiot rambling about? So we've had a theme for several months about Chase using 18 units of Serostim at night, not breaking it up through the day. And we couldn't figure out why the insert said take it all at once rather than breaking it up to get different surges to maximize the localized expression. Roman brought up a good point to me. He said patient compliance. Getting a normal person to do an injection every day is a lot. Mm-hmm. So expecting them to do an injection every 4 hours, every 5 hours, every 6 hours to get slightly better results when they're just trying to not die from AIDS isn't irrelevant, and it isn't what they're going to do. So why even tell people to do that? That's why they even went so far as to say if 18 units every day is too much for you, don't do 9 units every day. They said do 18 every other day. This makes sense, right? Because if compliance is the issue and people are like, oh, needles hurt, that they don't want to do the shot, then having them do the 18 every other day would mitigate some of the edema of doing 18 every day without being the whole thing like, I can't do math. It's like, motherfucker, you're dividing by 2. You're using 9 instead of 18. It's not that hard. Yeah. But there's people who can't there's people who can't divide by 2. I've met them, and they're alive. They drive a car. They're
vote.
This exists. This exists in our culture. So the thing is, I did all the digging, and in the 80-page book about somatostatin, about the somatotropic Bible, growth hormone Bible, it doesn't mention localized IGF-1 once. Not a single fucking time. So if the goal was to get the most systemic IGF-1 possible, then yes, bolusing it at night is the right way to do that. If the goal is to grow as much muscle as possible, then using a shot every 6 hours. Now, in theory, that refractory period can be shortened by using insulin, either endogenous insulin from a high-carb diet or from injecting insulin. Obviously, we don't want to inject insulin in a low-carb diet. So one would assume if someone's eating, like, let's say 1,000 calories like Paul, every single meal would be a bolus of insulin, which would decrease the refractory period. So ipso facto, one could theorize that if you're having 6 meals and there are 100 carbs a meal or more, we could be getting as much as 6 injections of GH per day and still do the 2 units. That is the theoretical minimum maximum for muscle growth, and still generate, that's 14 units a day. Now, the reason why Kikel does not like microdosing it is he says it fucks up the circadian rhythm. His argument is if you inject insulin at bedtime, you'll get your surge from the GH you injected. Then 1 to 3 hours later, you get your normal physiologic surge. And then at 2 a.m., there's a dumping of all of the factors. For example, insulin-like growth factor binding protein 3 is more prevalent at night than during the day. And IGF-1 conversion is more prevalent at night than during the day. So not only are you getting a better bioavailability on the GH, you're getting better conversion to IGF-1, and you're getting the binding protein, which has its own receptors. BP3 is actually its own growth factor in and of itself, especially the IGF-1 BP3 complex has its own stimulatory effects. So on paper, that all makes perfect fucking sense. And there's no dispute that the localized IGF-1 expression at nighttime is still better than any other time of day. Like I said earlier, it's 13 nanograms versus 7.5 nanograms if you do it at night. I think with Kikel's point is you get circadian benefits from doing it all at night. Now, in the J3U reading, it also mentions that systemic IGF-1 will impede, it will be a negative feedback on nighttime GH release. So if your total load is high enough, you won't release natural endogenous GH. And in Kikel's book, it didn't mention whether or not his study that he gathered this from was only 2 units, or was it an actual 4, 6, or 10 unit dose. So it could be that the data he has saying you get a natural GH release was based off of data collected from people using a normal GH bolus of 2 IUs. In the end, the conclusion, one group says 6 to 8 units is a ceiling effect. Kikel's is a 4 is the healthy dose, 10 is the most you'll see a bodybuilder use. His recommended max dose is 6. So in the end, it sounds like 2, 2, and 2 from the J3U camp, and 0, 0, and 6 from the Kikel camp for the optimal dosage. But again, the Kikel camp is based off of IGF-1 systemic, whereas the J3U is based off of IGF-1 localized. So what I'm coming to conclusion is it makes the most sense to do the 3 different shots, but but you don't have to be limited to 2 IUs per shot. I think that is what you titrate up to see what the effects are. Now, Paul, I believe you said previously you're doing 4.5 fasted, something, and then 6 at night. Is that correct?
I backed it off a little bit because I was getting so tired, but yeah, I'm doing what I'm doing right now is I'll take the 5 of the generic and I'm splitting it in half, 2.5 in the morning, 2.5 pre-workout, and then 4.5 of the Serostim before bed.
All right, so which is basically what I was planning on doing too, is rather than going like, for example, 3, 3, and 3, I was going to go 2, 2, and 4. And try to, if I'm going to do a big bolus, I'm going to do it before bed, because that's supposedly when we get the best conversion to IGF-1. Maybe the localized conversion to IGF-1 is better at night. Supposedly, the fat loss benefits cap out at 1.5 units, but in rats, injecting them with 2 equivalent in us, the 2 units of GH in a target muscle will grow in that muscle, even without training, even without a calorie surplus. That just doing the bolus of localized shots of 2 units multiple times a day will target that muscle. Whether it grows 1 gram of protein or not, I don't know. But
aren't these studies done in vitro, though? That's kind of the thing that kind of trips me up, is a lot of the data I've seen from both J3U and Alex is in vitro research.
I guess I'd have to see which studies in particular. I know. Are we talking about like the big study that I thought was interesting about
the fat loss cap one, for instance?
Oh.
You know, or
I think that one's probably a dumb one to begin with, because were they using albuterol, and were they using yohimbine, and were they using anabolics? Were they leveraging this at all, or are they just using GH alone? Right. Because when you're not doing polypharmacy, there's no point in trying to cross-reference that with polypharmacy. Same thing goes with leveraging the IGF-1 conversion. It's like, well, Tren's supposed to amplify the conversion of IGF-1, that estrogen is supposed to amplify the conversion of IGF-1. And so how can you say that 2 IU is the cap when 2 IU is tested in theoretically rats and or obese sedentary people? They're not on 1,000 tests with 100 E2. They're not on.
Right. There's so many factors calling lipolysis and beta oxidation. It's like, it's not even measurable at a certain point.
Or with the IGF-1 conversion. That either way, like whether we're doing beta oxidation or IGF-1, yes, but it takes some serious help.
I just saying Chase is here. This has nothing to do with what we're talking about. He's listening to us from Greece.
Yeah, he's having a good time.
What time is it there? It must be 5 p.m. No, it must be 7.
I know what time it is there. It's dinner time. According to what I've been seeing on Instagram.
Food porn.
Nonstop food porn on Instagram.
Come back
making it hard to diet.
It's going to be 300 when he gets back.
He's coming back like the day before my birthday. We're supposed to lift.
The thing with Alex is so he coached me for a while, and it was probably the worst progression I've ever had. And it's just an overcomplication of something that should just be stupid simple. And I think that a lot of the stuff he has to say is interesting, but not useful. Like, it has almost zero application most of the time. And I think a lot of the stuff that he says, kind of like you mentioned, is kind of needless information within the GH book. And it's more like this mental masturbation. It's like this sort of, it's kind of a weird, like, self-interesting kind of like, I know more than you kind of talk.
I've heard you say that before, and I didn't get that impression from the kid. I just thought that he's brain dumping everything he can find, but there's no weighting on stuff based on relevancy.
There's no refinement. It's like, hey, it's
just this vomit of information. Right. And then later in the book is where you get to the meat, and the meat doesn't reference the vomit and say, this is where you look to find the reference.
Right.
So like it says, we don't like to inject throughout the day. We want to inject just before bedtime based on the circadian rhythm discussed above. So I look in chapter 14 of the book is circadian rhythm, doesn't mention anything about why the circadian rhythm gets altered by doing microdosing throughout the day. So he references and I'm like, this is the most important thing about the book is how much do you take? When do you take it? Not even what it does. The person already knows that they want to be using GH because they want to get bigger. Proving it makes you bigger isn't as important as proving this is how much you take and this is when you take it. And there is no one who seems to have any proof about this is how much you take and this is when you take it. Even in John's course, he says, like, we don't have any real human data to show that 2 IUs is the maximum benefit. Just the amount that was tested is equivalent to about 2 IUs. What's this guy say?
It's all, at the end of the day, it's all kind of speculative. And that's sort of my problem with it is I think a lot of us take it as like factual, and it seems like everything works, everything works at the end of the day.
Yeah, based on what Jeremy's saying is, he said that 1.25 to 1.5 is maximum for fat loss.
Yeah.
But at that same time, why would you underdose it when you could get the anabolic benefits and the fat loss benefits of 2 units? So that's why 2 units. And since this is the simple way to look at it. If you're there's 4 times a day you take it, right? There's either fasted, pre-workout, post-workout, or bedtime. And you're not supposed to use more than 8 units a day, and you're supposed to use about 2 IU per shot, then you basically just do 2 IU per shot, start with the bedtime shot, then do bedtime and post-workout. Then if you're going to do 3 shots, do bedtime, post-workout, fasted. And if you're going to do 4 shots, it's bedtime, post-workout, fasted, and pre. And that totals 8. So, it just works out as really simple, clear, easy math, and it's idiot-proof that way. The argument is, why is people like Chase seeing benefits with 16, 18 units? If that's true, if 4 times a day is the most you can use it and 2 units is the most you can benefit, there is no rational explanation to ever use more than 8 units, and therefore no one should see any benefits. But there's no actual human data showing there is no benefit to using more than 2 IU. It was conjecture based off of 7.5 nanograms, based off of one study, which I believe was called Frost 2002. And I think you're right. It was based on either rats or cell culture. That they never did cell culture legs to see, well, what happens if we do 15 nanograms? What happens if we do 22 nanograms? What happens if we do 30 nanograms? They didn't overdose it. They used a normal patient load for longevity, which is what all the studies are done. None of these studies are done on bodybuilders. None of them done forced bodybuilders. All these studies are done is to treat patients, get them from a negative number to a 0, not take them from 0 to infinity or beyond like Buzz Lightyear. Just take 5 IU with every meal and forget the research.
It's an interesting thing because the research is done on either diseased populations, genetically modified rats, or in vitro in a glass tube. And so it's like the application, I just think like all of this is mental masturbation because a lot of it I find is going to overcomplicate it for the layman, and that layman is going to be like, well, fuck, what do I do? Granted, it's fun to like think about these things, but I just think the utility in it, you can understand the molecular science, but even that changes when you start adding polypharmacy, when you have a human that's transcriptionally changing their existence, right? Like I am not the same human I was 4 years ago because of the drugs I've used for so long. and the diet I've had. And, you know, so it's like, there's no way of knowing what's truly effective. And I think people get so attached to these ideas of like, this is the dose, or this is the exact algorithmic kind of plan that you put in, and this is the milligram per kilogram. And it's like, these are all very general terms. I've seen so many different people respond. Everyone has a different milieu to how they respond to these things. And so it's hard to say conclusively, like, this is the dose. And I think telling people that is a little bit, you know, valuable at some points.
And you're right. You do change, man. Like I'm telling you, like I was talking to like some guys like said that run 2 units would make them, you know, their hands go numb and everything. I'm running 10 right now and I feel fine.
Yeah.
Other than being tired. And then like I pushed my test dose up to 1500. I remember before, like if I went above 750, I felt sick and tired.
Yeah.
And I feel, you know, I felt a little weird earlier in the week at 1500 test, but I feel pretty solid at 1500 test.
I have the advantage and disadvantage of coming up during the bro science period where bro science was convinced science wasn't real. Because back then we didn't have people like Brad Schoenfeld doing the studies, that their idea of muscle building was leg extensions and muscle biopsies. And my textbook in medical school said a human can gain no more than 30% of their musle size through hypertrophy.
I remember that from
and I was just like, wait a minute, that's fucking retarded. And Ronnie Coleman's 300 pounds. like they didn't even look at the population before they come up with this shit. They just have a theory and then they print it like it's real. I was like, all right. So one of the things we learned coming up in the, you know, during the GH belly period was the more growth hormone you take, the more test your body can use. The more test you take, the more growth hormone your body can use. The more growth and test you take, the more you can train and handle it. And the more GH and test you take, the more food you can process.
So
not all these things are not intrinsically true. It's all more nuanced than that. But there's some rationality to this because the GH upregulates the androgen receptors and the androgens upregulate the GH receptors.
And IR receptors.
And IR receptors. Yeah. And the insulin upregulates the facilitative uptake. And since the, what do you call it? The IR receptors are increased, that means the same amount of insulin will get you more food uptake. Yeah. And then the calories being present will give you more mitochondrial turnover. And then more food you have gives you more T3. And the more T3 it generates, the faster the mitochondria will function. So if you're in a surplus, a faster metabolism generates more muscle building per unit time. So some of this everyday wisdom and common sense finally gets backed up by science, but there's nobody other than I think John Jewett who sits there and cobbles together the wisdom with the experience, with the actual science, and finds that this science actually does paint the picture that bro science has been saying for a while, with some caveats, of course.
Yeah. I like John Jewett because he's a practitioner. He's not just a book nerd. And that's, right. You know, it gives me faith, kind of like hiring a lawyer who doesn't wear a suit or hasn't done his own taxes. Like, it's kind of weird to me.
Well, but I think it's more like hiring a lawyer who's been to prison.
Right. Yeah.
That I want a criminal attorney to be my criminal
who's been through attorney.
The court. I want to know. I want to get the guy who knows how to break the law and not get caught, to defend me and prevent me from getting caught. I don't want the guy who's innocent to teach me how to be a criminal better.
So I think basically what everyone can take away from this is just use more of all the drugs.
Until you have side effects. Yeah. So where I was going with this is you, Kolton, had said that you started going up to a higher dose of GH and Chase's footsteps as well. What was your protocol?
I do 3 in the morning before fasted cardio, and then I briefly eat afterwards, then wait about an hour and a half to digest, and then go train, and then I take the rest all at night.
So you don't take it post-workout and at night? Okay. Is there because you only have less than 5 hours or 6 hours between your post-workout window and night?
No, it's definitely not that. It's just because I'm lazy, to be quite honest.
So you're literally doing 2 doses a day, even though you probably believe 3 is better because
I believe 3 would be better. Totally.
Okay. Ironic, even though John Jewett was the one who has proven this, he himself does 3 units fasted 3 units at night because he forgets to take the post-workout dose.
Yeah.
So he breaks his 2 IU rule and his 3 times a day rule and does twice a day with 3 units because he himself, adherence is more difficult.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's like you get to so many little routines. Like you have to make your meals, you have to weigh your meals, you have to do your hair care, your shower, your shaving, your like tanning, your thing. And it's just like, holy fuck. Sometimes it's just like that other injection's adding a 1% more burden, but that's like pushing over the edge.
Well, plus you have to bring with you a whole lot of syringes to the gym. You have to bring carnitine syringes to the gym, an insulin syringe to the gym. You have to bring the post-workout insulin syringe to the gym. You have to take the GH, post-training GH. Rather than loading up one syringe with a bunch of different drugs and just blasting it, half of it before the gym and half of it after the gym, it actually, to do it right, you need 3 separate syringes of different sizes because measuring out 2.5 units of insulin is really hard to do with a 100-unit syringe, but it's easy to do with a smaller syringe.
You could do it if you were working out at Oxygen.
I think at Oxygen, don't they just have like women that come up and they stab you for you?
Yeah,
like mid-workout, they just wheel up a medical tray and start injecting you.
Yeah, like
straight IV one.
Yeah, like
in a civilized country where injections are just socially acceptable.
Exactly.
Oh man.
So Erin, I guess I was stomping all over you. Is there anything you have to add?
Wait, we got a lecture from Dr. Todd.
Way down
30 seconds.
Is this going to be on the test?
your episode.
So you got a masterclass on HGH today.
I know. I got my hair blown back just now. No,
Oh my God.
you guys talk. It's fascinating.
Well, how do you use your GH? Or is it a secret? Do you not talk about drugs?
I'm starting it soon. I haven't been using it.
Okay.
And you take it out before shows, right? Like.
Oh boy.
I just do what I'm told. Like,
No.
I don't know all the stuff you know. I'm like this. I'm just like I'm learning.
So
I do.
A lot of people do take it out before shows if they're worried about retaining
bloating
water.
or something. Bloating.
But on the same notion, you might flatten out. It depends on the look, right? So not that you would use 8 units because women are more receptive to GH and they're also more sensitive to the side effects. And typically men use between like 4 to 20 units. If they're pros, females use between 1 and 3 and they get more out of it.
Right.
You could retain a lot of water on 3 units where you might retain none on 1 and you might look flat on 0. So generally the cookie cutter peak week is pull GH, pull everything that aromatizes 4 weeks out, pull GH 2 weeks out to 10 days out, pull everything injectable 3 to 5 days out, and switch to Anavar or Winstrol only for the last few days. That's the cookie cutter approach. Like if I've got 100 clients and I'm going to throw a bunch of shit at the wall and see what sticks and gets a pro card, I'm going to give them all the same protocol. Yeah. And if 2 of them turn pro, I'm going to then make a post about how I turn these 2 people pro, and then another 50 people will hire me. And that's how you practice coaching on Instagram in the 2010s and 2020s. But the way that you're supposed to do it is you're supposed to be ready 4 to 6 weeks early, and then you practice peaking, right? And then you make changes every week. Every week is its own peak week. And some people, like for example, Ian found that keeping in the anathate, keeping in the GH, keeping in the water, keeping in the salt, his glute striations are about as good, but he carries way more fullness. Right. And I've noticed that there's a trend towards fullness in the IFBB in the past 3-4 years, where you could be shredded and flat and you will lose to somebody who is full and big, even if they're not as shredded. Whereas when me and Shelby came up, it was shredded was the only thing that mattered. And if you have to be flat to be shredded, that is fine. Mm. And that is no longer the case. And that
doesn't seem to be the case at all now with shows. That doesn't seem to be the case at all now.
Not anymore. Not since all the people started dying in 2021. But back in like 2009, 2008, before Hani Rambod reintroduced carbohydrates to the sport, everybody was flat as fuck and shredded to the hilt. It was just keto diets before there was the term keto. It was just zero carb diets, and it was no water, Lasix or Bumex for the dehydrant, the diuretic, and you'd come in shredded to the absolute hilt as a desiccated bug.
Yeah, that look just is not good if you don't have any muscle.
Which was
Fullness is back then. I think Fullness looks better.
And speaking of Fullness, I was looking at Chase's profile. Like the difference in him in 8 weeks is insane. Check this out. This is let me pull this up. This was, I know he's not on here, but this was like, when was this? 9 weeks ago?
April.
And then before he left for his trip, talk about Fullness.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I guess that's what 18 units of Serostem looks like.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Wow.
I haven't noticed. I don't know. I've been running the Serostem for 2 weeks now. I don't know if I noticed any difference or not. Maybe.
Well, we have to keep in mind, Chase is also running 3 grams of androgens. So
Yeah, I mean, I pushed my doses up pretty high, man. I'm at 1,500 test, 1,200 primo now.
It's so funny. It would be fun if we actually had like a spreadsheet for the show, and everyone that came on, we added them to the spreadsheet, like put in like current weight, current test, current DHT, current GH, and then like and then like a hyperlink to a current picture. And then like we like track them like little kids where like you measure their height as they go up. Where like we just track everyone in the columns left to right and keep track of what everybody's doing. And then at the end of the year, we like you with your math skills can come up with some fancy graphs to show which protocol generated the most amount of fat-free mass gain. And then we can say, okay, well, clearly what Chase did worked really good. What Kolton worked good, pretty good. What Paul did worked the best. So then Chase, Kolton, and Paul all do the Paul method and see if it changes their trajectory of growth on subsequent years. And we could do a double-blind crossover, basically.
Yeah, it's like
funny.
It's not blind, but it's crossover studies where Paul does what Chase did and Chase does what Paul did. And if Paul grows better both times, we know that Paul's got better genetics. Whereas if whoever did the Chase protocol grows better, we know that Chase's protocol is better than Paul's protocol.
It's funny. I was just talking about this with Justin last week. He was like, man, we should do some sort of scientific survey of everybody and see what we come up with, what everybody's doing.
like that idea.
I mean, it'd be scientific. It's just a low statistical power because we've got a low sample size.
Mm-hmm.
And each leg of this study is only one person.
But it would still be a greater sample size than any study that's currently.
Yes, it would still be the best study to date because it's not on obese couch potatoes who eat Lays right morning, noon, and night in McDonald's.
Do you titrate up your doses, Kolton, or no? I usually
start. So Blue coaches me. He tells me kind of what to do, but it's like I do it, and then I tell him what I'm doing, and then that's kind of how it works. He recommends it. So
this is what you're supposed to do. This is what I'm actually doing.
I titrate the doses, so I'll start lower. Like for instance, this last cycle we started at 350 milligrams of test a week, 300 milligrams of Masteron, 300 milligrams of MPP, and we titrated up the doses over time to where I'm at. I don't even know the doses, I just know the milliliters, but a certain amount of tests, it's 1.5 total grams of milligrams of androgens. So I titrate over about 16 to 24 weeks, just depending on where health markers are at.
Yeah, that's what I do too. I've been slowly titrating up. I'm in week 12 now. So I started off at 375 test and 300 primo and a little bit of Nandrolone, and then I just been slow. I dropped the Nandrolone because I had the issues with it, but then I've just been slowly pushing up and seeing what I can get away with. This is the highest I've ever been. Colin can tell you, man, I am strong as fuck right now. I would say that.
Is your weight going up as well?
I haven't gained a ton of weight, man.
That's the thing I'm noticing too. Is like my weight's sort of the same, but I look visually bigger and I'm stronger. So it's like, I don't know. It's like hard to quantify.
I mean, I'm 285, 286 in the daytime now, somewhere around there. I was 275, 277.
That's really good.
Fasted, something like that. But I mean, I'm pretty bloated right now. I would be embarrassed to take my shirt off.
So, Paul, earlier you mentioned you take your GH pre-training. That's because you train at night, and then there wouldn't be 5 hours between post-workout and bedtime.
No.
That's right. Okay.
No. I come home from the gym, eat, and go to bed.
Now, you only do your insulin on high days, not on medium days, even post-workout?
No, I run insulin every day, but I'm running Lantus on the non-high days.
Okay, so you run Lantus every morning, but you only use Humalog on high days.
Yeah, Humalog at 1, 3, and 5.
At 1, 3, and 5. So 5 is your post-workout meal?
5 is pre-workout.
Oh, okay. And then you're using what, 5 units?
Yeah, I don't want to take Humalog before I go to bed. I might not get up in the morning.
Well, how much Humalog are you shooting each shot? 5?
Usually on my high days, it's 8, and then I'll do 15 pre-workout.
Oh, 8, and 15. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
But I mean, on my high days, I like between my intro and everything, I'm getting like 250 grams of carbs or something between my intro, pre, and the whole nut. So it's a lot of carbs.
Okay.
Don't mean to be rude, but there's a lot of people with questions.
All right, let's ask some questions.
Okay.
Sorry, we've been rambling.
Oh shit! People are paying money for this. Can I inject BPC sub Q into glutes for a shoulder issue? No, you would inject BPC into the shoulder. Yeah. The idea that it works if you swallow it is for if you have ulcers
or like leaky bowels.
Yeah, it was originally developed for ulcers. That's where this nonsense that it is. It doesn't matter where you inject it comes from. It's because it was supposed to be swallowed. Then they figured out if you inject it into soft tissue injuries, it heals the soft tissue.
Bueno.
And anyway, if you're using an insulin syringe, you should inject it right into the shoulder, the part that hurts the most, with the TB500 to cut down the inflammation. If it's acute injury, if it's chronic injury, neither will probably help.
I also have some Rate My Physiques, by the way. I had some people reach out to me. They were very eager. We can get Erin in on that.
I actually got positive feedback on my reviews. I apparently didn't hurt anyone's feelings, which is what I was aiming not to hurt their feelings. But I usually always
just do that by default, Todd.
I just do it by default. Like you said, my default settings condescending asshole.
The emotional bull in the china shop.
Reason for big weight drop after 5 units Clen, 16 MK677 with hard leg day. Thought glycogen, but doubled up.
Reduction in glucocorticoids just because of the antagonism of Clen and specifically high growth hormone. So, maybe you're holding water due to cortisol. And
this is confusing. He's on no roids.
Right. So he uses insulin and MK6. Well, he's an idiot, first of all, but
I wasn't going to go there. I was just going to be like, dude, you're definitely putting the cart before the horse. You don't. The priority one is make sure your androgens are in check.
Was a fan.
He was
a MC's been on my channel forever. I still love you, brother.
Right, yeah,
I'm not being rude. Sorry.
I'm not saying
I don't speak. Steroids, but Todd does not speak for me.
Yeah,
Kolton doesn't speak for me.
I didn't call
Todd just had a conversation about how the growth hormone requires testosterone to really work effectively. So
yeah. I don't know why people go there first. I just don't. I've had several people reach out to me. Like they start off with insulin.
It's legal. It's the stigma, man. Yeah, it's a stigma.
It's legal.
Legality, yeah.
Clen is legal, and so is MK677. His wife probably won't let him do anything that involves breaking the law. So.
Fucking broads, am I right, Erin? God damn it. They won't let you do anything.
I'm not like that.
No,
hey, cool. Colin, will you read the questions out because for the podcast so people can hear?
Yeah, sure. Well, I think Todd already read this one.
Yeah, he read this one, but for the next ones.
Yeah, apparently, I don't read so
good. Nobody said that, Todd. Nobody said that.
He reads comments is like,
oh, yeah, because I lean in because I'm old.
Yeah. What does it say? KSF says, what is the highest dose of Clen did you use in a prep?
200.
Whoa.
But 40 was about as effective.
That's an honest answer.
Well, I'm answering it. He didn't say should you. He said did you, right?
It's true.
So should you is 40. Did you is 200.
That's great.
I think last prep was the highest. It was 80 micrograms, and that was too much. I had to come back down. So
100 for me.
I didn't even notice. I was like, whatever.
Did
Between the
you
200
run-
Tren a day, the 200 Clen didn't even phase me.
What makes it too much? What do you mean?
like racy heart anxiety, just unable to sleep. I'm really sensitive. Like I can't even drink coffee because like it's too much sometimes.
No stimulants I don't have a problem with, but Clen, I have to be careful to go up slowly or I get exactly those.
The big
side
issue I
effects.
run into with Clen is muscle cramps.
Dude,
Oh my God, I get
that'll
some
happen
terrible
too.
fucking muscle cramps.
That's why
They usually go away.
I put taurine and Fennis Fury because I expected people to have Clen cramps.
Yeah. But in prep, I'll intro workout 5 grams to 10 grams of taurine always. But even then, sometimes on like those longer color sessions, like my foot will start to cramp, and that shit.
Yeah, that's what I would get. Would be the foot cramps.
Yeah, that's fucking awful.
You ever have your abs cramp? Oh my God.
Yeah.
It always happens to me
Out of
at the
nowhere,
most.
like, motherfucker.
Well, it happens to me at the worst times. You can ask Marissa when those times are. That happens. I'm like, we gotta push the pause button here a second. You're taking rodeo. I'm laying down. Ab cramps.
Sorry, I got us off track.
All right, what do we got, Colin?
A question here, a couple for Erin. If she can help us out with potentially.
I'm in the middle of my J3U university training, so
Well, your perspective
Experience. That's
as a lady.
water manipulation.
Yeah. Can you also please ask about water manipulation for peaking for female competitors, estrogen management too, and how it may relate?
What did you do for water before your show? I mean, did you guys pull? How did you handle the water?
I'm trying to think. It's very last few days are just very like I'm sipping. It's not a lot. I think I load up a couple days out, right, gallon or more, and then taper down. If I remember that right.
Yeah, I think it's in my past. It's kind of what I've done too. Is just usually with females, I think that the manipulations aren't as drastic, but it's usually the same kind of concept. With estrogen management, I might employ Novodex. If that lower body does need to come in, I've just found that to be a little bit of a promotion. So I don't know.
Do you think
Tamoxifen too, or when is tamoxifen?
Tamoxifen is Novodex? Same thing.
Yeah, sorry. I could,
Yeah.
Do you think I'm like trying to wrap my head around how Novodex helps pull fat off of glutes and stuff, but it certainly seems like it does.
Todd might have a better answer here, but this is very
But does it selectively bind to the tissue?
So, all right, so it has to do with alpha 2 and yohimbine. So there's alpha 2 receptors on the adipocytes on hormone dependent locations. So there's in the presence of estrogen, the backs of the arms, the butt, and the thighs will upregulate their alpha 2 expression. So normally we have and like adrenaline, epinephrine binds to the beta 2, the beta 3 receptors and helps liberate fat from those fat cells. However, if alpha 2 is present, it'll bind to the alpha 2 receptor, which locks those fat cells.
Yeah.
So yohimbine can override estrogen's propensity to retaining butt and thigh fat and back of the arm fat by binding to that alpha 2 receptor and inhibiting it, which then blocks the negative signal so that when the epinephrine binds to the beta 2 or beta 3 receptor, it can then stimulate fat to be liberated from those sites. So rather than approaching it from that angle, also Rahwasine, one of the viewers sent me a video by Derek that showed me that I was wrong and that Rahwasine doesn't suck ass, that based on what Derek says, I flipped yohimbine hydrochloride with Rahwasine, and that it's actually the other way around. So we're just going to say alpha yohimbine and beta yohimbine both bind to the alpha 2 receptor and unlock it so that the fat can leave those cells. So what a lot of people are doing is they're blocking the estrogen receptor with tamoxifen to send a negative signal to inhibit the inhibitor to allow the fat to get released. The reason why I don't like that approach is because the tamoxifen is designed for breast cancer. It targets breast tissue and destroys it. So it also can upregulate uterine cell proliferation on the endometrium and cause fibroids or uterine dysfunction, amenorrhea, well, not amenorrhea, but like bad stuff, even uterine cancer. That's why they switched from Novadex to Avista or Avitra. It's raloxifene instead of tamoxifen for women. Men don't have a uterus, so we're safe using tamoxifen. For women, I don't like using tamoxifen in women. I would rather keep their estrogen present because having babies is usually more important than winning shows, unless they're out of the baby phase. And then if they're out of the baby phase, then that's when I would entertain something like an aromatase inhibitor, if that's what that woman wants to do and she's willing to jeopardize her femininity for the sake of this competition. But you can get around this by simply just using a alpha 2 inhibitor to then unlock those areas where females store fat the most. Ironic is when women are pregnant, they often resort to those locations and burn the fat from their butt and their thighs. So the progesterone makes you store the fat in the butt and the thighs, and then the being pregnant allows you to access that fat. So it's almost like that's what they're storing up for, is for getting pregnant. Because throughout most of human history, women were pregnant pretty much from 13 to 35, or they were nursing, that there was no birth control. So it was a revolving door of generating children, because kids die really easy in most circumstances. And the reason why the average age of death was 30 or 40 was because you're averaging all the dead babies. People who live past like 30 years old, they tend to make it to 50, 60, 70, even a couple hundred years ago. I know that was.
I have to bounce really quick because I have a guy coming here with a couch. I have to go help him bring up. So I will. I got a new place, so that's enough said.
That's cool. You look like you're in a new room. It's a very barren room. White walls and no black curtains.
Nothing. No black curtain yet.
Are you going to have the new girlfriend decorate it so it looks less bachelor-y?
She's at the store right now with me.
Okay. You're being domesticated?
Yeah. She's got the Amex, so
she's like, we are not living like this.
All right, guys, I appreciate you.
See you, Kolton. If it were up to me, I'd just have a mattress on the floor and a couple pieces of Tupperware in a microwave, and that would be it, man.
Oh no.
My home. That's where the magic happens.
Then there's the power cord so I can charge my phone.
See, exactly what I was talking about. That's what
aluminum.
Yeah.
With the air conditioning.
Roll paper towels there.
Roll paper, yeah. Everything you need.
That's
like a little like a bodybuilding golem.
That says I'm rich.
Exactly what I am. I just don't have it precious.
Yeah, that's together though. Behind you is very Game of Thrones there, but we never know. We just have a mattress on the floor.
Yeah.
Nothing says I'm getting laid like the tinfoil on the window, so the mattress on the floor. Oh man, Roman was asking us if we were on.
Yeah, he asked me that too.
Let's see. Do we have any other questions we want to talk about?
Did they do prejudging there already today?
I have no idea.
Or because I messaged him at 5 a.m. Spain time to say good luck today, and he didn't get back to me until now. Colin, do you have an air fryer yet?
I do not have an air fryer yet. I think when is Amazon Prime Day? Maybe I'll pick one up on Prime
Isn't
Day.
Every day Amazon Prime Day? What kind of question is that?
In my house, every day is Amazon Prime Day. You can ask my wife about that.
every day is Amazon.
Every time I open the door, there's a new package there. And she's like, I don't know.
Dude, if I didn't have to go buy my chicken in person, I would just have it delivered. I just don't want to pay more money for chicken.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring this guy up. We're going to do a rate my physique. You can get in on this one, Erin. This is Nicholas. Hopefully I got the right guy. I think this is him. Let me make sure.
I'm gonna pull the Danny DeVito and be like, "What? I don't see it." It's like,
yeah, this is him. Okay, I'm gonna pull him up. I'm just making sure I'm not showing somebody I shouldn't show him. So this is Nicholas. Let's see what Nicholas looks like here.
oh man, I wish that I could make this bigger.
Let me see if I can zoom it up a little bit.
Whoa, that's way better. He looks pretty lean. What the fuck? What is he getting ready for? His arms look big. His waist looks small. His lats have low insertions. His glutes look pretty much in. His thigh to glute ratio is good for classic.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a middle delt and he's got a rear delt and a tricep, so he has a thick looking side chest. His elbows are off center. You know, I'd want to be able to have those hands and those elbows equal.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like you could probably pull them apart more.
Yeah, I mean that's a posing issue.
Press a little bit.
You got a good physique for classic, that's for sure.
Fuck yeah, he does. I don't know if he's smashing those two legs together on the side chest either.
Got to clean that acne up a little bit, man. That's
I don't even see acne. That's not good. Where's the acne?
Right here.
Oh, there's a D-ball back.
Yeah. But great physique.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Great
like
physique.
I want that left arm to do what the right arm's doing. It's like compressed in. He's like pulling down on his elbow more on the left side than the right. And it's
That's
like
just a
fucking with
that's
me.
just a posing
I
problem.
know it's a posing thing, but it's fucking with me. I can't get over it. So,
Here's a stage pick. Yeah, you look great.
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, that looks like a pro physique,
Yeah.
pro quality physique to me.
Very impressive.
What's his competitive history? Do we have any idea?
I have no idea, but he looks like he could be a
Maybe
pro.
it says in his introduction, like it says 4-time nationally qualified or
Yeah,
top
what-
5
yeah,
national
like
competitor.
what's it say up there? There you go.
What's it say? I can't read that. Can someone with eyesight
2020,
read
2023 national. Yep, yeah, he's a national competitor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he looks.
What country is he from? Because why would you say you're an IFBB national competitor, right? That would be NPC.
Oh yeah. So he must be a national IFBB. I don't know what that means.
Boyum UG Uganda? What's UG Uganda?
Undergraduate.
Oh, that makes more sense. Yeah.
Let's see.
He's got a great physique.
Yeah, he does.
Fantastic physique. I mean, I guess that was right when I said it's a pro level physique. Some of the older pictures, you can see how much he's grown. Yeah, well, fantastic physique, Nicholas. Yeah, I don't. Other than some little posing issues, I don't
Looks
think
like
there's a
he's
whole lot to
Australian.
critique.
Looks like he's from Australia.
Speaking of Australia, did you guys see his Extraction 2 yet? Extraction 2 was the fucking 20 minutes from 30 minutes in to 47 minutes in or something, or 20. It was the best fight sequence I've ever seen in any movie in my entire life.
Cool. I haven't
So-
seen a good action flick in a minute.
So Netflix, it's been out for one day and it is amazing.
Yeah, I enjoyed the first one. It was, it was just a good, dumb action film. I mean, it was fun. I like a good mindless action film.
Didn't think they could possibly come close to one, but 2 blew one out of the water.
Really?
Yes. This is the best action sequences I've ever seen in my life. Like right one after another for like 30 minutes straight.
All right. So this, let me see if I can find this other guy. There was a guy that
Felt like you're in a video game. It was that intense just to watch it. It felt like you were playing it.
That's pretty tight. I'll check it out.
Cool.
trying to find
At least
this
the
dude.
first 47 minutes.
God, I get so many people message me, man. It's like hard. Like I promised this one guy I'd get him on, and I can't find him. I get blown up. I don't know if you guys get blown up with DMs, but I must get 30, 40 DMs a day. I just can't even keep up with them.
We're not popular like you, man.
I'm not
I just
getting 30 to
I
40
get like
DMs.
4 or 5. I get 30 or 40 from Austin, and then I got 2 or 3 from other people.
Oh yeah, here we
It's
go.
usually,
This is
thanks for rating my physique. I was like, did I hurt your feelings? They're like, no. I was like, okay, good. It's like,
I think some people want you to hurt their feelings, Todd.
this
Try
is
harder.
this is Jeremy. I think he told me he's about to work with Justin, I believe. God damn it. It won't let me show. That's right. Like he DM'd me his pics, but it won't let me show them because I'm on the computer. You only see them on the phone, which is so stupid.
Just upload them to something and then open it in a browser.
Yeah, I ain't doing that. We'll pull up his last competition pics. We'll see him. He's in off season now, so he's a little fluffy, but a fluffier version of
what
this.
I told people to do from now on is pin the pictures you want rated to the top of your Instagram. So
There you go.
you up on
I do.
stage.
Yeah, that's smart, Todd.
Yeah, that looks really good. I'd smile. According to Xavier Wools, smiling is graded. The elbows look good. It looks like his lower body needs to catch up with his upper body, but his lower
that's
body
what I would
looks
say.
good. It might just because it's a
Hamstrings.
different color. He's like didn't tan his lower body
He's
as
got
much.
a high Latin insertion, it looks like.
It could be because he's leaning back.
Yeah.
And his elbows, he's not firing his lats. He's kind of compressing his upper back together, pulling.
Yeah, you're right. The scapula's pulled together, so that might be a posing
He
issue.
needs to pull that apart at a scapular angle and then externally rotate the fuck out of those forearms while keeping his back more upright and driving his spine, his lower spine, to the audience. That'll push out his erectors, and then it'll make the lower lats look bigger because they're on top and superficial to the erectors.
Makes sense.
My last posing coach was telling me, and I think this might be the issue here, when you turn your knees out from the rear, that it actually makes your hamstrings look smaller. And I think that he's bowing out. I think that may be the issue here.
You lose your adductors, and that's why he's got thigh gap. So he's turned them out too much. What he probably would want to do is turn them out less and keep his legs closer together and throw his weight like further back so his adductors still touch. He's also squeezing his butt and posterior tilting his pelvis too much and arching his back lordotically too much.
Yeah, I would agree.
So it should be rate your physique, not rate your posing. But for some reason, all I see is posing.
Well, I mean, a lot of times it is posing issues, man. From the front, like, so his legs from the front are great.
Right. And if he was to do the opposite, if he was to antevert his pelvis, we would see some cuts all the way up those thighs. And then he could bend the knees and get more sweep to him.
Yeah.
And we're losing a lot of detail on this pose.
So, Jeremy, what we're saying is hire a posing coach, a good one.
Yeah. Posing, there's so much nuance to it, huh?
Yeah, it's definitely more than 50% of the sport, and people apply 1% of the effort to it.
Yeah, I mean, like from the side, his hams, he's got a good hang on his hams. He's got cuts.
It doesn't even look like he's compressing that. He's squeezing his glute, but it looks like he's still either firing his hamstring or he's not pushing the left hamstring into the right quad.
I have a hard time relaxing my hamstring on the side post.
Roman's trick's awesome. What he does is he shifts his weight not from the base leg, but to the show leg. By having the weight on the ball of the foot of the front leg, your glutes and calves activate and your hamstring does not. That's
I never knew that one. That one's a neat little trick. I'll have to try that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Roman.
I have big hamstrings, but I can never get them to hang from the side.
And that's because they're probably automatically contracting them when you contract your glute because it's your weight's on your base leg.
Yeah.
Which it should be. But the trick to make that drop, I guess, is put your weight on your non-base leg. So that's a good one.
Yeah, he said he was going to work on getting these. Wow, that's crazy. 2012.
That's awesome, man.
10 years.
Good for you, man.
Yeah, fantastic, dude. Yeah, I mean, whatever the case, man, you've made amazing progress.
Yeah, there's a lot to be proud of there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I think I wish I had his off-season picks up here. I think he told me he was up to like 290 now.
Wow, really impressive.
Yeah, he's got the rear delt and the tricep. Also, like Justin Harris's trick of building up your rear delt so that your side chests look huge is a very valuable trick.
All right, I got one more here. Let me pull Jeremy off here, but Jeremy, right? Yeah, Jeremy, you look great, man. I think just a little more polish, you probably could be contending for a pro card, I would say. And I had another. What is this, Roman? Roman sent me something. Say, look, I have no. Oh, is he? I don't see him. He said he tried getting on.
I haven't seen him enter the studio.
Oh, no way. Let's get Roman on.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
Is he in Spain?
Mhm.
He is in Spain. Is he at the show?
Mm-hmm.
At the press conference?
I sent him this.
Yeah, send him the link.
Just in time for us to get off. Let's see here. Let's see. I had another one here. Sean, if you don't mind, can you rate my physique? Yeah, let's take a look. Let's pull Sean up. This is Sean M. I don't know. He doesn't say what his name is on here. His last name. Let's take a look. Another classic guy. It's hard to tell from those photos. It's a blurry stage pic.
Well, I mean, you can still see he's got good physique and everything looks balanced.
Yeah, he's got nice
good
balance.
symmetry.
The lighting's terrible on this.
Yeah, I can't tell if it's soft or if it's just the lighting's awful. I think it's just awful lighting.
Yeah, he's.
There's too many shadows on his legs. Can't really tell.
Yeah, that's
There
good.
you go.
I
I would have turned that bathroom light off next time. That looks way better.
Yeah. He's definitely lean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it looks pretty perfect for his classic physique.
Classic, yeah.
Interesting trunks.
Did he tear his pec or something? He's got like a lump, or is that just a weird?
I don't know. I don't know if I saw that in some other pictures. Yeah, you don't see it there. Well, yeah, it looks like he might have hurt his pec at some point. His
yeah, it
left
looks
pec.
like there's an indentation up here, maybe.
That's not a huge deal.
Yeah, you can see the
Yeah,
lump
you can
up
see
here.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty damaged.
Yeah, it looks like torn. I don't know. Is there much? There's probably not much they can do for that.
And it's ironic because the opposite delt is also kind of deformed as well.
Yeah, look there. You can see it. Yeah, it looks like the pec was torn.
It's good symmetry. Like symmetry is the best part. Conditioning's good. I don't see any muscle that's out of place or is lagging. Everything's balanced. I mean, because I like bodybuilding, so I would say bring up everything equally. But
I mean, he looks like he's carrying some size. So I would. Yeah, he looks like a body. I don't know. He looks like a bodybuilder to me, not a classic guy. It's hard to. It looks like he competed in classic though. I would imagine. Yeah, he looks great there. Top 3. Huh. Yeah, I don't. That was weird though. It definitely looked like a torn pec. I mean, really, is there much they can do for a torn pec once, like cosmetically?
I don't even think a surgeon would understand the concept.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? You're a man. Why would you care what your chest looks like? That's what they say. You know, like they would be more than happy to do cosmetic surgery on a woman's chest because that makes sense. But to a man's chest, no one's going to get it. They're like, you'll just grow some fat over it and it'll cover up any abnormality.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a lot of guys with torn pecs at shows. That's why I'm like terrified to do bench presses anymore.
I don't know why anyone would do bench press. It's so dumb. It doesn't build the pack. It just tears it. I mean, people are like, that's not true. It builds pack muscle. It's like it's not an efficient use of your time when trying to build the pack.
Got one more question for you, Todd.
Uh-oh.
Just not ominous. Just someone who paid. I feel like if somebody pays money, they
Well,
deserve
for
to
sure.
get
Yeah,
an
they
answer.
Would a DECA only cycle be made better with a little HCG? I mean, I guess so. I mean, the whole concept is you don't mix test and DECA. So if you're trying to drive up natural test production, you're now mixing test and DECA. But if you're asking, would the HCG mitigate some of the natural suppression that's caused by the DECA, the answer should be yes. Artificially, it would keep your balls from shrieking, and you could produce more natural testosterone, and you could have some more estrogen on board.
I get so many dudes that reach out to me worried about their ball shrinking. I'm like, I mean, why do you care? It's like the fucking ornaments on the tree.
My understanding is girls actually care about the size of your balls.
I have never once had a girl say anything to me about ball size.
Well, I don't think they're going to say, God, your balls are small.
Lucky for you guys.
We
have
Aaron, we did
Aaron,
professional
we
opinion here.
Weigh in again.
I'm not. It doesn't really matter to me.
You heard it here, folks.
Professional
I'm here
opinion.
to tell you, it's not a big deal.
Nobody cares about the size
As
of your
long
balls.
as you have some.
I've heard it both ways. That it's
Figuratively,
important and it's not important.
I've never once heard any woman say they care. I think only dudes care about that.
Yeah, I would agree.
I don't think guys would care if they were convinced women didn't care.
Guys are convinced of a lot of things that aren't true.
Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah, I don't know. Roman was I can't read German, so his thing he sent me was in German. An error message. Site send backstage. So yeah, he was backstage. I don't know. I don't see it. All right, guys. I don't know. Do we have any other questions we want to take, or we want to wrap this up?
I got a question for Erin. I see it says here on your Instagram profile that you're a professional chef. Is that right?
I am.
CIA trained?
Yes.
That's awesome.
That's my.
Man.
That's
If I had my way, we would have spent this whole hour and a half talking about food.
Yeah.
But I want to know before we get going, like, how do you approach, your meal prep in a certain way? Being a professional chef, do you have any tips and tricks to inject more flavor into the bland crap we got to eat day in, day out, or what's your take on that?
I'm probably better at most people prepping my food, just because I'm trained. But yeah, I went to the CIA. I graduated in '95, and I was a private chef to celebrities.
Wow, that's so cool.
Till I wasn't even 21 when I got out of school, so I was 20.
That's amazing.
By the time I was 32, and I used to. So I competed in my 20s. I did figure back then. I really
nice.
a picture of the full suit. Oh my God, we had to wear the full suits. There was the bikini part, and then there was the full suit back then.
One piece.
Yeah.
There's 1 piece and 2 piece division for figure.
I look so much better now than I did then. I did figure, and they didn't.
Look
That
great,
was before you had to really tilt your butt up and break your back. It looks like your back is going to snap in half from the whole thing. I love being in a shoeless division now. And you're right. It's exciting. I was so laser focused on physique, right, the last couple of years. So I came back after it was like 19 years. I didn't compete. I got married and I had kids and the whole thing. And so it's kind of fun because, I emailed 2 coaches, the same exact email, copied and paste. And then one got back to me and said, and I was never like heavy. I was lean, but obviously I worked out. I worked out every day my whole life since I was 17.
Wow.
One coach came back to me. I won't name names, but he's like, I need more time. You need more time. And the other coach came back to me and said, yeah, we can do that. So I went with that guy. But I used to do figure. But when I used to be a chef for either always wealthy, of course, but and sometimes famous.
Mm-hmm.
And I would compete then. And
you have to sign NDAs when you cook for them.
But I fed them. I would eat what I ate, and I would feed them. But yes, I'm a trained chef, so I just I do a lot of seasonings. I send him a picture of my favorite seasoning for meat.
Oh,
I mean, I don't mind. I'm hyper disciplined, so I'm fine with like eating the same shit every day like we all do.
Yeah.
But I don't make my family suffer.
I don't make my family suffer. It's nice to feed people and like live vicariously through them. Like sometimes I've gone through phases like where I would just bake things like nonstop, like when I was dieting hard in the past, and I'd give them all away, you know. But
Yeah.
I'd make people eat them in front of me. I'd be like, "Tell me how good it is.
Yeah.
Describe it to me."
I rub down my face. Yeah. No,
Maybe you can help Todd season his chicken shake.
I've been eating solid food for weeks now.
Chicken
Solid.
I
Todd takes his chicken and grinds it up in a blender with fruit punch and drinks
Oh my
it.
God, that's hard.
That's not the case any longer. Right now, I take a bowl and I put like sesame oil in it or olive oil, depending on what the ethnicity of the meal is. And I'll put my seasoning in that oil and I'll stir it up with a fork. And then I will dip the chicken in it and both sides and then put it in the air fryer.
Yeah.
And then I'll take the same bowl and I'll put the vegetables into the bottom. And then I'll put soy sauce on the vegetables. Then I'll put the rice on top of that. Then I'll cover it and I'll microwave it. So I can basically infuse the vegetables with the oil and the soy sauce blend. And then the steam from that actually steams the rice to reheat it while I cook the chicken in the air fryer. Then I usually flip it when there's a couple minutes left to get the other side. And I'll put whatever sauce is supposed to be on the chicken at that time. I usually use sugar-free sauce. And then that's what I usually do for my meals now.
People get horrified by my chicken. I cut it up, bake it, don't put any seasoning on it. That's it. Nothing. And then I measure my salt out after I put the chicken on my rice. So
well, being a woman, like I don't even get the carbs you guys get. I don't get anywhere near that. I'm listening to talk about
sorry.
What? That's what it feels like. That's what I get in a month. 100 grams of carbs.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Right now I'm on 1,800 calories and
Oof.
I'm probably burning 4,000 a day.
That's not fair.
Well, you're cutting. That's different. Yeah.
I mean, 1,800 is pretty.
I play with seasonings a lot. I
1,800 is a lot for a lady to be cutting on.
Yeah,
that's true.
It's gonna go down, believe me.
So what was the seasoning for meat that you shared with Paul?
It's just something I found at Walmart.
Okay.
Called meat rub, but I love it. There's one called Bullshit. Have you seen the Bullshit line?
I have not seen the Bullshit line. I'm not familiar.
I'll have to take a picture of it. But there's a whole line, and it's like
awesome.
Bullshit. It's very funny. I do love it because I can't get into the oils because I'm not allowed to have that. So
right. Yeah, that's why I'm curious. Just wanted to pick your brain on that a bit.
Yeah, I come up with stuff.
We had one more guy that paid for a question, so I feel like we got to answer it.
I actually had two more guys. This is Jimmy here. When do you start feeling the effects of GH? Running 4 units of GH and 500 tests a week. I guess he just started.
GH, I've talked about this a million times. It's a slow burn. It's not like you really feel any different.
You just feel like you're getting bigger?
No, I don't feel really anything from GH unless you get side effects. I mean, the side effects would be numb hands.
Like a bicycle pump in the arm, right? Just
Your balls get bigger?
Your balls get bigger. Yes, if you want bigger balls, GH. Supposedly it makes other things bigger, so that's what they say anyway. But
egos,
yes. But no, like really, like I don't notice any. It's just subtle, like maybe less aches and pains in the joints.
Mm-hmm. Is it one of those things like where you know when you're off?
Yeah, it's not even like that. Even I don't know. It's very subtle. I like GH is a slow burn. I wish I could tell you that there was some way you can notice your one. One thing I will say that I notice with GH is I do tend to stay leaner. Body composition seems to stay better. But I don't know that there's really anything you can feel other than the side effects.
Yeah, you're never gonna feel GH unless you're overdosing. Then you feel either tired or you feel swollen hands.
I have been tired as fuck since I pushed my doses up. I think that's starting to balance out a little bit.
You don't really feel the drugs in general.
Neil,
what kind of currency is TY?
I have to look it up, but I think maybe Trinidadian. I don't know. That's my best guess off the top of my head. 35 years old with 12 to 13% body fat, 5'9". What would be the daily calories needed to gain weight while on 400 milligrams test E, 400 milligrams Primo, 3 IUs HGH, and his current weight is 79 kilograms, and he's aiming to get to around 85 kilograms.
It's turkey, by the way.
Turkey. Okay.
Is it a lira?
Yep.
Yeah. So I think there's no way to know because everyone has individual calories, requirements. But what you do is you weigh your food and you calculate out how many calories your food is. Eat the same thing every day and weigh yourself every day. And if you're going up, leave it the fuck alone. If you're going the same, add 500 calories to it every day. And if you're going down, add 1,000 calories to it.
It really is that simple. I use
So you
carbs as the wild card. I'll just
Right.
shuffle carbs up and down based
You got to
on
be
where
eating the
we're-
right things, though.
Basically-
I follow some feeds on Instagram of Turkish food, so I imagine it's difficult for Neil to only eat what he's supposed to eat in Turkey. They look like they have some absolutely amazing food
Yep.
there.
Based on what I'm looking at here, you should be having 200 grams of protein a day, 50 grams of fat a day, and then everything else is carbs. And then your carb is your variable you'll alter.
Mhm. Perfect,
Your looks pretty appropriate.
awesome.
And
That's a
once
great.
you start getting up beyond 15% body fat, you got a mini cut.
There you go. That's a
Yeah.
great answer. You can work with that, Neil.
I think I might be there now. This is definitely the fluffiest I've been in a while. Although I can't tell how much of it's water and how much of it's
On that
actual
much
fat.
GH, you never would, right?
Like my girlfriend yesterday, she's like, I can't see your abs anymore. But then they were there this morning. You could see them
That's
this morning, so it's water.
So what you gained 10 pounds of water that day, right?
I do,
woke up at
dude. I'll
278
I'll
and
gain between 8 and 10 pounds heavier at night than I am in the morning.
But when you wake up, you're 278, right?
Yeah, some 275, 276, something like
So
that.
and you're using 10 units of GH, you said?
Yeah.
4.5 in the morning, 6 at night.
No, it's actually it's 9.5 units. So I do 2.5, 2.5,
And then 4.
4.5.
Okay. So 9.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's gonna be a lot of water retention.
Yeah, I mean, I just hold. I drink a shit ton of water, and then I hold water too. It's all the carbs too.
You're also injecting a shit ton of insulin on the high carb days. So
Yeah.
that's gonna make you hold a lot of water even for the residual day afterward. But
Yeah,
you're doing what, 2 high days a week?
too. Yeah,
So you're basically feeling the insulin 2 of those days, then you get the water retention for 2 extra days. So you only have 1 day where you're low. And I assume that's your low day.
Yep.
And is your abs more defined on the low day at
Yeah,
the evening? All right. Then
yeah,
it's
they come back out. I definitely have some. I've definitely picked up some body fat this winter. When I picked up the body fat is when I
cruising.
I pulled. Yeah, when I cruised, man. When I pulled back and cruised on 125 milligrams of test, I didn't change.
8 weeks Motley Crue cruise.
Pull back on the testosterone and,
Yeah, to
and
150 a week or something.
cranked up the McDoubles.
McDoubles. I love McDoubles. Those are my favorite.
This is my fucking kryptonite.
BK double, McDouble,
Ah,
and double stack from Wendy's. I used to like compare them because
I
they're
had,
the same macros, but they taste so different.
I had my cheat meal last night. I stopped at Burger King and got a double Whopper with cheese. That was my
That
cheat
sounds
meal.
so good. I haven't had a
Killing
dirty
me right now. Killing me. Stop.
I just get it plain. I don't get anything on it. Nothing.
The closest thing to a dirty cheat for me is if I get lamb and rice instead of chicken and rice.
I mean,
Like,
lamb's
I
got a
haven't
little
had
extra-
pizza in like a year.
I'm having a burger tonight, boy.
I alternate back and forth with my cheat. I do 2 cheats a week. One of them's usually Texas Roadhouse, and then I'll get. But I don't know. That's not. I just
That's
get
not
the
that really much.
Yeah,
cheat.
you got shit on Instagram for calling that a cheat. People are like, "That's not a real cheat."
Oh God, people get
Dirtiest
so
thing in Texas.
angry at me, man.
Yeah, the biggest thing at Texas Roadhouse is a Caesar salad.
You made people feel bad for calling that your cheat meal while they were sitting there with
Oh,
their,
yeah,
chicken and
that's
their ice
pretty-
cream.
It's steak and potatoes
Yeah.
with the Caesar salad. So the Caesar
Yeah.
salad makes it a cheat meal.
People
And the
got
bread.
so angry about it too. They were like, "Well, it's not a cheat meal. I don't know why you need extra fat in a cheat meal." I'm like, "Do you need extra fat in a cheat meal? There's no physiological reason that you need extra fat in a dessert."
Those people were so
0.3.
angry they were slamming their pints of Ben and Jerry's down on the table. Like, I'm gonna answer this Instagram post. I can't believe you would call
Pretty
that a
much
cheat
it's
meal.
50 to 60 grams of fat.
I'll eat some
Okay.
shit once in a while. I mean, it's not like I'm perfect, but
Yeah.
I mean, dude, I fantasize about food every goddamn day. Even like I miss pizza. I mean, I had fajitas with no dairy. Consider that a cheat meal.
I mean,
I mean, you know, you're in the
tortillas,
depths of contest prep when we talked about it before, but when all the fat-free seasonings like the
Walton Farms,
the Walton Farms and was it G Wills or whatever the other one is.
Jesus, yeah.
HG Wells, yeah.
HG, yeah.
I feel guilty every meal because I put that on my chicken, the sweet chili sauce.
When that shit starts tasting good, you know you're starving, man.
When it tastes so good, you think you're cheating.
Because like I have it in the off season, I'm like, oh my god, this stuff's fucking awful, man.
Have you ever had a dream where you've been dieting real hard and then you dream that you've cheated in your dream and you wake up feeling guilty?
Oh yeah, I did that. I was like, god damn it, I fucked up my contest prep.
It's like a nightmare. Exactly.
Got the trend sweats going and wake up.
I have dreams of like putting jam on
I
toast
had-
in my dreams.
I had a nightmare because I went off of GH while I used tamoxifen because I didn't want to waste it, and cleared up like a little gyno. And then I went back on the GH and I had this nightmare that I had like a cigarette. And I felt so guilty that I had a cigarette. I was just like, it doesn't even have calories. It's like, why are you feeling
Doesn't
guilty?
even have calories.
It's like you're just cheating in a different way. Like there's all these different, you have all these rules in your
Right.
straight edge life that you've boxed yourself in this tiny corner, where it's like when you're trying to make weight and you start breathing cold air because you think that you're getting some more moisture out of the cold air than hot air, and then you think you're cheating because you're drinking water, and so you go back to breathing hot air.
This is why you need a coach when you're dieting hard, right? Because your mind is not right.
I've never done that.
You never breathe cold air when you're water restricted. Breathing cold air is the best when you're water restricted because you can trick yourself.
I've never heard that one before.
Well,
That
keep
one's
that
a
in
new
your back pocket, guys.
This is my trick at Texas Roadhouse. I get, instead of getting the loaded potato, I get the chili, and I dump that on the potato.
That's a good call. Sounds like a delicious mess.
Yeah, so that's what I do. I don't get the salad. Who needs salad?
I love the Caesar salad at Texas Roadhouse because
It is
it's
pretty
like
good.
I'm cheating with the salad. And then you look over at I can't say this because it's going to offend somebody and I'm going to be demonetized. But anyway, yeah. Dude, comedy is in the shitter right now. Like you can't be funny anymore.
You just have to be twice as clever, Todd.
We listened to the latest Bill Burr. It was pretty edgy.
And you got to know your audience. You know,
can get away with it if you're officially comedian, but I'm not officially.
Good comedy, good comedic art is always going to offend a portion of the population.
That's
it
my
must.
point. It's just that I'm not labeled a comedian. Like Tim Dillon literally wrote a book about how boomers are the worst generation.
I know that. I just saw that the other day. That's fucking
like,
hilarious.
Tim Dillon is
isn't it?
my favorite comedian.
He's really funny.
He's so offensive. I sent a skit to my friends, my
Yeah.
D&D friends, and I got banned from D&D for 2 months.
Well, that's what I'm saying, man. You got to know your audience. Like, I don't share Tim Dillon clips with
all right,
just
so this is
okay.
Let's put things in perspective here. In Dungeons and Dragons, I had a skull that
Yes,
conjures
let's get the proper
infinite amount of rats, right?
Proper perspective.
So what I did is I pushed someone down a well, and then I said, "Tell us where your base is," and I started pouring rats on him, and then they started eating him alive. He told us where the base was, and then I didn't pull him up. They're used to that type of shit, but me sending them a Tim Dillon skit, that offended them so much.
That's pretty funny.
Emergency.
I don't know. There's definitely a lot of double standards like that in American society. Like you can show all the violence you want on television, like in prime time, but like, God forbid you show half a genital. It's like, oh, think of the children.
That's a good point. You notice that they've taken boobs out of movies, whereas like in the 80s, there used to be boobs in every movie. And then now there's nothing at all.
We're going backwards, Todd.
Have you watched
that? I don't know about that, but they're banning movies like Dogma and Tropic Thunder. And
have you watched
banning them?
Have you watched
the streaming services? Well,
for real?
But you can't get Dogma on a streaming service.
Hypothetically,
have you watched Righteous Gemstones?
I love that show. I love Danny McBride so
Danny
much.
McBride. Oh my god,
he has a straight line to my funny bone, man. That dude fucking cracks me up.
It is hilarious. But Edie Patterson, she cracks me up. She said there was a double standard about boobs in show on HBO. So she had they had a 1 penis per episode minimum in in Righteous Gemstones.
Every episode.
That show's hilarious. All right, guys, I got to wrap this up. I got people prepping, and I'm sure my text has been blown up. I've let people hanging while I'm
Thanks so much for coming
Hey,
on,
Paul,
Erin.
can I
Nice
plug
to meet
my,
you.
my contest that you guys
Please.
made?
Sure, go for it.
So it's so tedious, and I apologize in advance to everybody.
No.
But the cover of Muscle and Fitness hers. They're picking a normal person, like a normal civilian like me. So I'm in the running. Everybody has to vote. It's every day. It's super irritating. But
What's the? I see.
cover of
You
Muscle
can
and
find.
Fitness, which, like people read magazines anymore, but like before the internet, when I was coming up, that's all I had was that
That's a
magazine.
big deal.
Like, that was my magazine. So
That's
Send me
super
the
cool.
link, and I'll post it in the video description so
Yeah.
people can.
I'll send it.
vote.
I got it
one
for
of
you,
those
buddy.
things we have to vote every day, so it's irritating, I know, but I want to get on that cover because to me it's like that was my magazine. That's all I had back in the 90s. I started weightlifting in high school when I was 17, and that was like my to
You
be
and
on
me
the cover
both.
would be really cool. Because
I remember the old days of going to the grocery store. I knew when the new magazines were coming out and grabbing them.
Yes.
And then I realized everything they said in them was untrue.
I put the link to the voting site in the private chat, Paul. Guys, if you
All
want
I just want to be on
to
that
head
cover.
over to Erin's Instagram page. She's on Instagram at Gym Rats with 2 Z's. Girl IFBB Pro. You can find the link there as well. Let's get her that cover, guys. Come on.
All
I
right,
just
I
want to
will.
say about the pro card thing, like what you were saying, Todd. It was cool. I was so laser focused on physique, and then I just kept taking second, taking third, taking fourth, right? And when I switched to bodybuilding, within a show, and I won, I was like, it was just for you. I was like, you know what? It's cooler to get it in bodybuilding.
It is
It's
cooler to get in bodybuilding.
It's cooler. It sounds like this
Everybody's
is
like,
meant to be
C-bum
because I didn't get
this.
my pro card in physique. I got in bodybuilding. I'm like, that's right.
Everybody's like, C-bum this, C-bum that. I'm like, C-bum turned pro in bodybuilding. Just saying.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know
Yeah,
he turned pro in
he won
bodybuilding.
the heavyweight class in North American. That's how he turned pro.
To me, it just made it sweeter.
Yeah.
I'm like, cool. That's
He just was
harder
now
to
because of the height, because the cap is 15 points higher or 20 points higher for pro classic than this for amateur classic. You can turn pro as a bodybuilder, but then be now classic.
Huh. Yeah, I mean, once you're a pro, you can compete in any division, right? Yeah, that's the way it works.
But I don't think it should work that way. I think that you can go, if you turn pro as a bodybuilder, you can go backwards. But if you turn pro as like men's physique or classic, you can't go upwards. You have to then re-compete as an amateur to then get a real IFBB pro card.
Another controversial take by Todd Lee. All right, folks, I'm wrapping this one up. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. Take care.